I ended up deciding that I preferred people over places. Two things that most people forget to design into their space: a place for their dirty laundry and a place to hang wet towels. So I just pee in bottles. It's easy. You've got to be able to deal with your shit. I mean, it would just annihilate my fruit. I launched in August of 2017. So at this point in time, I've been on the road for about 7.5 years. I almost exclusively boondock, which means that I stay for free on public land in this, and I follow the weather. I don't have a house air conditioning. I just have the dash air conditioning for when I'm driving, but I don't turn that on when I'm camping. So I have to either go up in elevation or north or both, depending on what the temperatures are doing.
Yeah.
I knew I wanted a Sprinter. So it took me 5 years before I got really serious and decided what Sprinter I wanted, what length I needed. And at the time that I was designing my Sprinter, I was married to a woman who's 6 feet tall. So I knew that the bed had to go tip to tail. It couldn't go side to side. So I have a full-on queen size bed in here. But making a long story short, I'm doing this on my own, and I do that again. Long story short, I'm doing this on my own, and so I have a huge queen size bed that I don't necessarily need,
but very luxurious
but
and
it
comfy.
is very comfortable. Yes. I did design my van myself. I didn't build it myself because I just didn't have tools or experience or the strength or help. One of the things that I did that I highly recommend is I took painter's tape and I masked off the space. So I didn't physically have the van. The van actually took 9 months from ordering it to getting it from the factory. This is the empty cargo van. And
you bought it new.
I bought it new. Yeah. My priorities for this van were a comfortable bed, a good kitchen so I could prepare good food, and as eco-friendly as possible. All of the things that I added to the van, none of them off gas. So I used a linoleum floor. I used paper stone counters. So things that are more environmentally friendly.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not delusional. I live in a van. I get about 21 miles per gallon. When I did my 100,000 mile service, the mechanic was like, "Oh, congratulations, you finally broke in your engine."
Okay.
You ready to see it?
Well, tell us about these seats first, because this is fabulous.
I think this is key to making a space like this work. So many people don't do this, but the swivel seats make it so that your living space expands into your cab. And so you get so much more space out of it. I actually ordered it with the swivels from the factory.
Oh.
But there are tons of aftermarket swivels too.
Yeah. Okay. This is brilliant.
Yeah.
Good job.
And these are just the stock seats from, I ordered through Freightliner, but Mercedes. All right, so starting, from the entrance, we've got the lounge area, and this bench seat, it's great because I can have, so I've got a little triangle fishing seat, like an ice fishing chair that can sit right in the aisle, and I can seat 5 people here. I've got a table. I don't have, there's a lot of not fancy things in my van. I just have a camping table that I can unfold, and it fills up this whole area to play games. I've got a curtain that started out as a tablecloth that I just sewed some magnets on, that when there's a ton of heat coming through here, so I have the insulated. It's a window. Yeah. Normally I wouldn't have that on there, but it is so hot right now, and so I have to stop that heat. But normally I would just put this curtain in this window, and this also doubles as the tablecloth for that table for gaming, so that things don't fall through the table.
And are these custom made for the Sprinter?
Yeah, so those are off of Amazon, Van Essentials. So here's the thing. When I started with van life, these companies didn't exist. I had to design and create all the things. So I designed and created magnetic window covers. Fun story, Van Made Gear saw mine and made professional ones. And he asked me where to get magnets and all that. So that was kind of fun. But his is the top of the line. That's what I have up here in the front.
Okay.
This is the first version of his. I think the new ones fit better now. But anyway, yeah. So this can seat two. We've got two here. We can seat one in the aisle. And then I've got just a file drawer here. Kind of messy, just putting stuff on there. Lots of happy accidents in this van. I needed, when I first started, I was with doTERRA Essential Oils. I needed a place to store oils. I didn't plan out this spot necessarily, but it fits perfectly, a couple of oil cases. And then this is a toilet. So I pull this off. It's just a standard split toilet seat, and then I've got a groove cut here for my pea style. So it's manually separating. It's super easy. It's just an oval mop bucket under a regular toilet seat, and then I use the pea style to separate the urine from the poo.
And how much do you use that? Do you use it all the time, or do you use public, or
No,
use it all the time?
I generally use my own. Yeah, so I just pee in bottles. It's easy.
What kind of bottles do you say?
Just bottles, laundry bottles, from the thrift store.
Yeah.
I don't drink out of plastic. I only drink out of metal, so I'm never going to mix those up.
That's great.
And
That's
they
great.
stay in that little caddy. So it's easy. You can just pour
clever.
urine out. It's,
yeah,
it's not that big of a deal. If you're going to be on the road full time, you got to, as Sue Ann Carlson of Homes on Wheels Alliance say, you've got to be able to deal with your shit. So, all right. So also right at the entrance, I have my fridge. This is actually a freezer that is regulated to fridge temperature.
Oh, the whole thing.
The whole
could
thing.
Be a freezer.
Yes, but then you wouldn't have a fridge.
Yeah.
Yep. So, and you could see it was a little hard for me to open. It seals really, really well. It was actually hard. It's also hard to close, but when you get it, it is completely sealed. So right now in this heat, it is taking 21 amps per 24 hours.
And
that's nothing. That is almost nothing.
Wow.
So I've got,
because once you get it down to temperature,
right,
it doesn't have to come on very often.
Now in the winter when it's cooler, it only draws about 10 amps per 24 hours. I have 500 amp hour batteries. This fridge does nothing for, to take away my power.
What brand is the fridge?
It's an isotherm. I wouldn't necessarily recommend that brand. Okay. I would recommend the, of course I can't think of it right now. The one out of Vitrifrigo. I would recommend the Vitrifrigo.
Okay.
Over the isotherm. I just think they're built a little better.
All right. I'll see what I can do to find any products we mention and put links.
Yeah. All right. So I got a bar sink.
Okay.
So the nice thing about bar sinks is they're a little deep, and they're just a great size for a van. You can fit your pots, your dishes, whatever. This is just a faucet that I didn't clean off from Costco. Just bought, went into the warehouse and bought it. No big deal. But it's one that, pulls out and all that jazz.
You can wash your hair.
You can, yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. This is a Berky water filter. So I do drink the water from my tank. I have a 40-gallon tank in the back. And so I just refill it, and that's the water that I drink and cook with.
Okay.
All right. So cooking, I have just an induction burner that just pulls out on the counter. You can see I have a ton of counter space.
Yeah.
So, and that is really nice. It just helps make the space feel bigger. I like this because as soon as I turn it on, I'll just show you. So as soon as I turn it on, I hit the watts so that it goes down to the 600 watts, and medium because
That's
never,
enough.
it's
Yeah.
enough. And then it doesn't pull quite so much power.
Mm-hmm.
And then I hit start, but it won't start because there's no pan on it, and induction burners have to have a pan. So anyway, I've been really happy with this. This is not the original one that I started with, but
Tell us again what
okay.
these are made of.
Yeah, so the counter is paper stone. It is a
paper
stone. It's a recycled paper product out of southwestern Washington state. There's another company that makes a similar product. I don't remember what the name of that one is.
And you chose it because it's non-toxic.
Yeah.
Is it also lightweight?
It is fairly lightweight and sturdy. So I also made my step up to my bed with the same stuff. With it being this thin, I think it's 5/8 inch thick, and that can hold with this span. So that was important, span versus thickness versus how much weight it can hold. I think it said it can hold 400 or 500 pounds.
Wow.
With this span.
So do you have to treat it?
You're probably supposed to. I don't know. One of the things I liked about this product is that it does weather. I believe this color is called leather. You can see I get oil on my hands, and
I think
you can
it's
see
beautiful.
Yeah, I love it. I absolutely love how it weathers.
Yeah.
It gets character.
Yeah, right.
So one of the things that when you have a lifted bed, it's really hard to figure out how you're going to get up in your bed, especially as we age, right? And so this is the solution that I came up with. I've never seen anybody do this solution before. It's I just had my builder pull the in between the whatever this is between these two drawers out a little bit and route a spot for this. And it works great.
And it doubles as a seat too.
And it doubles as a seat. Yes, absolutely. One of the things about building custom is that you can figure out exactly the size of the things that you need, right? So for me, one of the things that was really important, this is a super long tour, very detailed, but one of the things that was really important to me was my Vitamix.
Oh, God.
And so I had to design a drawer size that would fit my Vitamix and my Instant Pot. And it had a little extra space for some other stuff in the back. So this is perfectly sized for that. So, and then we just matched it on the other side. So
you know what's so funny, Joni? So I started selling things when I decided I was going to live in a van, and one of the first things I sold was my Vitamix.
Vitamix, yeah.
And the thing that I regret selling every day was my Vitamix.
So again, the second drawer up, it needed to fit this pot. This is just a 3-quart pot, and then everything else kind of fit in there as well. And then these are just kind of standard junk drawer.
Quality, you can tell they're really quality construction.
Yes.
Just the sound of them.
Yes. So that is the slam latches. So this is a marine product. And the nice thing about them is that everything's latched down. Everything is stowed all the time. I don't have to,
bungee things.
I don't have to bungee. I don't have to think about, is everything secured? Because everything's always secured. I always strap my Berky. I didn't do it one time, and it fell off and it broke the filters, which is like a $300 mistake. So always strap the Berky. Everything's always pushed in. You hear that click.
Yeah.
This is actually has like putty on it. So it's not going anywhere.
Some people use Velcro. You use putty.
Yeah. So you might notice that something unique about my van is that all of my cabinets are open, my upper cabinets. I did that on purpose. Um, so remember when I was designing my van, I was with a partner, and not that you're supposed to, but every once in a while you forget something and you're driving on a highway or whatever, and the other person wants to get up, and this provides handholds. The other really, really nice thing about this is that you don't lose anything back in there. Like if this were an open cabinet, I'd be like going like this to see if anything's in there. But with this, I'm able to just pull it down and you can see everything that's in there.
Yeah.
And you can get at it very, very easily.
And these are nice bins. What do you know what brand they are?
No, these are, so I had these in my closet in my house. They were from Kmart, which doesn't even exist anymore. They're, so you just figure out what size you want.
Yeah.
And, their bins are ubiquitous. You just figure out what size you want, and then figure out whether you want them matching or not matching. But this is, you can see my hand is, my finger is touching. So they're about that deep. Nothing ever falls out of these. Ever, ever, ever. This bevel was my design. My builder didn't think it was possible, and he was so impressed that it was. So, and so you can see, I mentioned that I would talk about his precision. You can see that these drawers are completely precise. All of the gaps are exactly the same all around everywhere. This is paper. This is apple ply. It's a plywood that's made in Eugene, Oregon.
It's gorgeous,
and it's 13 layers for 3/4 inch. It is. It doesn't warp. Like, it can't warp. There's no warping. I wish he had made it in 1/2 inch instead of 3/4 inch, because it is overkill and it's too heavy. But it's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And he built this to outlast the van itself. And as I mentioned, it's 500,000 mile engine. So and it has 166,000 miles so far, and nothing has shifted. It's amazing.
I love your towel rack.
This is a piece of madrone. It's my favorite wood, and I just picked it up at a friend's house in Oregon.
And these are batiks, right?
They are, yeah. And I can provide you the link to the woman in Seattle, the artist who makes those, because I can't remember her name, but I have
just
that.
Adorable.
Yeah. I guess I could actually talk about this. This is a security camera that I don't have plugged in right now, but I put that in when I traveled to Baja, because it was recommended that if you have cameras, then the guys who will come in and inspect your rigs are less likely to, do something that they're not supposed to do. So whatever that was, I don't want to imply that they're dishonest or anything. They've actually been nothing but friendly and warm. So, but it's a camera that follows any movement. So it'll pivot around and it'll move around. So
cool.
And if I'm parked somewhere that's more touristy or something like that, I'll plug that in and it will alert me on my phone if it sees movement. So, all right. So, the bed is just a queen size bed. It looks bigger because I wanted to be able to make it easily. And so there's gap on both sides. And of course, it ends up being stuff down there, right? And it is, I started out with my mattress from home. It's still my mattress from home. I started out with the whole 9-inch latex mattress, and I ended up shedding one of the 3-inch layers because it was just too much. I didn't need it. It was heavy. And so now it's a 6-inch latex mattress. And then, okay, so why don't we go to the closet? So when I started, this was all clothes. And I have gotten rid of so many clothes. I now only have, I have four 4 wool t-shirts, 1 wool tank top, a couple of other tank tops that I almost never wear, and some flannels. And that's it. Because the wool you can wear for up to 2 weeks without them smelling or anything. So now it's pantry overflow in those bins over there on the right.
And when you say pantry overflow, you mean kitchen,
Food.
cooking,
It's food.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's food. So snacks in the top one. Um, there's like beans and rice and things like that in the middle one, and flour and things like that in the bottom one. I'm gluten free, so I have to make everything myself.
I love that you've got hangers. You've got a closet right in there with
Yeah,
things on hangers.
yeah. It doesn't go all the way back, so there's a wall. Now, I did raise my bed. Before I raised my bed, the wall went all the way up, but now there's a little bit of a gap. But the front is, so there's a demarcation from the house side of under my bed and the garage side of under my bed.
Okay.
And then when I started, I made a fruit hammock and had it right here. And this is the hottest spot in my entire van. And I didn't attach it here as well. And so when I would drive, it would slam against the wall. So the towel bar wasn't here. It would slam. You can even price. This is probably still Apple. It would just annihilate my fruit. So I realized that the coolest spot in my van is right here. So I just took a market basket and put my fruit and things like that in here. And then laundry. You always have to have a place for your laundry, and people don't. So 2 things that most people forget to design into their space: a place for their dirty laundry and a place to hang wet towels. So when you're doing this, think about where you're going to do that.
And a lot of people say, well, the containers that are holding your clean clothes, they shrink as you wear them, and your laundry can take the space, but that's not necessarily a perfect solution.
No, my clean clothes are up here,
yeah,
and right here, and that's not where I'm putting my laundry. Yeah,
right, your dirty laundry.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So this big box right here is my batteries.
Oh.
I started out with 420 amp hours of AGM batteries. My builder found a systems guy, and he just didn't think lithium was ready for market. He thought they were too expensive and blah blah blah. The first thing I did when I got on the road, so I got on the road in August. My first upgrade was in January, upgrading from the 420 AGM to 500 amp hours of lithium, which is more than enough. And 7 years later, I'm so glad I made that investment. It was, at that time, it was $10,000. They didn't, I don't even think the drop-in replacement lithium batteries even existed yet at that time. My system is like 20 individual cells. So love it. I am so happy with it. So much lighter, took up less space. We were able to add in the battery management in there and everything and still have space.
And so I'm hearing your fan, which is very helpful, keeping us, I mean, it's in the 90s out there. It's got to be.
Yeah, it's warm today.
And it's a totally blue, sunny sky, no clouds.
So I have 2 fans. I have one right above your head. That was the original fan. That's a fantastic fan. That's not what I wanted. I wanted a Max Air.
Fantastic is the brand. Okay.
Yeah. And then this was an air conditioner. And I decided, and it was an air conditioner that I needed to be plugged in for. So I wanted more solar, and the only way to get more solar, because I didn't plan out my roof the way I needed to, was to take out the air conditioner that I wasn't using because I wasn't ever anywhere I could plug in. And the cheapest way to plug that hole was with a fan. So this is the one I always use because it's quieter and stronger. The Fantastic fan is noisy, and so the only time I ever have that one on is when it's raining.
Oh, and what's the brand of this one?
This one's a Max Air.
This is a Max
It's not the deluxe. It's not the one you can have on when it's raining.
Okay.
So this one has a vent cover over it.
Yeah.
On the outside, so it can be on when it's raining, even though there's similar style fans.
Yeah. All right. So before we go to your garage, what's going on over here?
All right. Well, those are the national parks that I've been to in the van.
That's a lot.
So yeah, there's one that's missing that from last summer that I just haven't even put on yet. I originally, when I started, I was going to go to all of the national parks in a year and then ship my van overseas. And my first year on the road, I got as far west from Oregon as what was it? Colorado, Western Colorado, not even Eastern Colorado. And I met people on the road. I met other nomads, and I ended up deciding that I preferred people over places for the most part. And so I still haven't gone to all the national parks, and I don't even know if I'm going to get there, but I do still like to go. And I turned 62 in February, and that's the first thing I'm getting is my senior national park pass. All right, here's my garage. Oh, I mentioned that I had to design and make everything back when I started. This sort of thing did not exist as something you could buy. I designed and made my own screens, both for the sliding door and for this one. And the one that I made, so it was on by magnets, and so it was a little gappy because it was magneting to the frame of the van. But the one that I designed did have fabric here and screen up here because I didn't want anyone to see. Well, now there's so much more in here, but I didn't want anyone to see my bike, basically. So now they make these. This is another Van Essentials, really great product. And so now it kind of covers my mess, but I've got my bike here. This is the chair that I mentioned, the ice fishing chair.
Oh yeah.
Love this chair. It's such a great, it's comfortable. It's got great back support, and it's super small and super lightweight. This is my Go Treads, which they are both recovery boards if you get stuck in the sand, and they also double as levelers. So this is 4 or 5 inches of leveling here.
And you've used this, I take it?
Yes. And then I also have a folding kayak in here. So lots of toys, but also tools.
You had this out this morning.
I did.
You went kayaking this morning.
I did.
Found you to video that.
And then on this side is utility. So, okay, so I've got my ladder so that I can clean my panels. I've got my outdoor shower, which works great, but I hardly ever use because the weather right now it'd be perfect. I could probably shower with it right now. But
if you didn't want to go down and just take a little swim.
Yeah. I've got this is amazing. Also for recovery. Sorry, I need to, okay, hold on. Get the ladder out because we need it out anyway. So this is a folding snow shovel. And if you are anywhere where you could get stuck, you need a shovel. This is super lightweight. It's really great shape and design. It's just an emergency aluminum shovel. And I don't remember the brand, but anyway, so I found this at a farm store in Wyoming. I was like, oh, this is the shovel I need. So, and it just sits right there. The systems in my van are actually fairly simple. So I just have gravity feed water, and then I've got a 40-gallon water tank behind here. my systems guy worked for Marathon Coach. They make the big bus coaches on the Provo frame that start at $1 million. And so when he asked me, I had no idea how much water I needed. You don't know how much water you use when you live in a house. There's no way to even know. And so so I was like, yeah, something small. I'm really conservative with water. It's like, how about 40 gallons? Sure. I had no idea. Nobody, a few other people I've run into have 40-gallon tanks, but hardly any in a van. This lasts me a month. 40 gallons of water is a lot of water in a van. But I also love that I have a month's worth of water. And then this drawer is just cords and hoses. So this is to empty my gray tank. It's just a garden hose. And then here's my fill and my shower curtains for the rare times that I take a shower in here.
And so how do you get water from here to your Berky?
Oh, just my sink.
Oh, you just pour it out the sink, of course.
Yeah.
Okay.
And again, you always want everything strapped down. So this always gets bungeed back before I close anything up. So yeah.
You're my heroine here.
I think that's it.
And I love these hooks that you've got.
So I tried to do as much handmade, locally made as I could. And there was a blacksmith selling these at the Eugene Farmers Market.
And how many of your windows are openable?
None of them now. So
other than your passenger and your driver's window.
Right. Yeah. So I have the C.R. Lawrence T-vent windows on both sides. They opened for about 4 years.
Oh.
I do not recommend that particular window. What I wish I had but didn't know existed at the time, and I think it did, but not in our U.S. market, is the turn overland windows. That's what I would recommend. They're also awning style windows, so they can be opened in the rain. I'm from Oregon. But they open, like the whole thing opens. It's really nice. And they come with screens and shades already built in.
Great.
Yeah.
And do you know what kind of insulation got put in here?
Yeah, because I did it myself.
All right.
Yeah, so on the floor, I have mini cell that is used for like kayaks and things. It comes in rolls as well. And then all of the rest of it is the, I know the name of it, by 3M.
Thinsulate.
Thinsulate, thank you. You can kind of see it right here.
Yeah.
So
and does this have an adhesive on one side?
Nope. It has the black on one side, and then it's white, and then the insulation on the other side.
How do you stick it to the walls?
So you do use an adhesive. I didn't use an adhesive for the whole thing. I used as little adhesive as possible. So most of it is just in the framing of the van, because there was enough framing to just stick it in. It was super easy to use. It was 60 inches wide, which fit exactly on my ceiling. I ended up with like a couple triangles left. I mean, it was amazing how efficient it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And did you put some sound deadening?
A little bit. But what I'll tell you about that is I forgot to put it on one of my panels. And after I did the Thinsulate, I cannot tell which panel I forgot. So the sound deadening, it adds weight, it's expensive. I don't know how effective it is.
So you think maybe the insulation acts as sound deadening,
Absolutely,
and you don't necessarily have to do both?
Absolutely, it does. Now, keep in mind that the Sprinter comes already with sound deadening adhered.
Okay.
So I just don't think that it requires any additional sound deadening.
Okay.
Yeah. So it doesn't, you can't really tell that it already has it, but you can, because they paint over it.
It is so bright out here.
Yeah.
Joni, thank you so
You're
much. I'm
welcome.
so happy that I met you, that you
Yeah,
had this appointment in Tucson, which made you have the free time to come to this
exactly.
meetup. Super fun. So impressed with what you've done.
Thank you.
Your vehicle is beautiful. I know we could have talked for more hours and hours of all of your
Exactly. Always.
experience. Yeah, yeah. Well, I certainly hope that we bump into each other on the road again. And if not, at least on YouTube and places
Right.
like that.
Facebook. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Bye,
Thank
everybody.
you. Bye.
Done that before.
Okay.
Okay, so
Yes.
tell us where people can find you
Mhm.
and see what you're up to online.
All right. So, well, I am Joni Zander of the Galavan. That's TheGalavan. That's on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram, although I haven't posted on there in a long time. And yeah, I focus on helping women get on the road. And I do that also in a Facebook group called Gal Adventurers, where I have a bunch of guides based on things that women that based on the most common hurdles women have for getting on the road, like downsizing and finding the right van and finding community.
That is so helpful. So I'm going to link to all those
Mhm.
things, the YouTube channel and the Facebook group below, so that you can find those and those
Great.
helpful guides.
Awesome. Hope to see you there.
Thanks, Joni.